Hey guys, I've got a question for you that involves looking at your own body. Have somebody else look at your shoulder blades from behind. What do they look like? Specifically, how much distance is there between your spine and where your shoulder blades start, or what we would call the vertebral border of your shoulder blades? In physical therapy school, we learned that 3 finger widths, just about, is a normal amount of distance between your spine and where the shoulder blade starts. Google AI, I just looked that up for fun. It says 2 inches. So those are both in the ballpark. So today what we're going to do is we're going to explain what this phenomenon is of the shoulder blades being pulled out to the side. And I'm going to give you guys some tips and pointers in terms of how you can kind of reverse this process. And at the end of the video, I'm going to show you one specific exercise, super simple, that you can start doing to kind of get yourself turned in the right direction. Let's take a look. So I am drawing here for you in time lapse here, the cellular structure of muscle fibers. When I'm drawing here, what I'm drawing here is to emphasize the thick blue filaments that I have kind of illustrated there in the middle will attach themselves to the thinner filaments. And by virtue of energy transfer, they have the power to kind of pull on those thinner filaments and thus shorten the whole unit. And if you think about this in a 3D fashion, it kind of makes sense. That's what a muscle contraction is. Those thick filaments pull on those thin filaments and pull everything into a compacted position. And vice versa, they have also the power to let go and lengthen the length of those sarcomeres. So if you take that over many, many cells that are connected in series like that, you get lengthening of a muscle and you get contraction of a muscle. And one of the problems that we see, as I mentioned before, is that if those sarcomere units are always put right at their end range, so if there's barely any overlap between those thick filaments and those thin filaments, it becomes very hard for those muscles to contract. And that's what the whole concept of length adaptive weakness is. And clinically, by the way, these muscles you're going to see a lot, or I should say I see a lot with my patient population. The muscles that are accommodatively weak and lengthened, the patient reports that they feel stiff all the time. There are trigger points in the muscles. So you will see lots of pathological type things on a macro scale that we have to work at. So we've talked about this for a bit, but what are you going to do about it? So I got 3 tips for you. Tip number 1, change your ergonomics, change your behavior. Whether this is ergonomic in nature, get your keyboard closer to you. That'll definitely help. Get your monitor closer to you. When you sit, be aware of where your elbows and your shoulders are, and do not suck everything forward in a forward position. It's not helping you. If you need an external keyboard or if you need an external monitor, easy enough to do. I'll include in the links at the end of this video, we did do an episode on ergonomic equipment that you can purchase, and I'll put that in there as well, and you can take a peek at it. Also, just be aware of where your shoulder blades are when you're doing functional activities. And if you feel like they're dragged out to the side, just maybe sit up a little bit and just take your shoulder blades and just kind of pinch them together a little bit. At the beginning, it may feel a bit awkward and a bit unnatural, but over time, if you kind of get yourself used to doing it, behaviorally speaking, it goes a long way. The second thing that you can do that's so easy and so passive is to lie back on a foam roll. And once again, this is also in that same other YouTube episode that I'm talking about. Getting yourself a foam roll and just popping it on the floor and lying on it, it just lets gravity take over and it gives a nice little stretch to your pectoralis muscles. So it brings everything back and it makes it easier for you to train. So what I tell people to do is that when you lie on the foam roll, that's great to do. But if you want to add training where you're actually strengthening your shoulder blade muscles right after that, that is a double bonus. So consider doing that as part of the starting portion of your workout routine when you work your upper back. Most gyms, by the way, have foam rollers. Number 3, and this is the super important aspect that I was talking about. We have to train those scapular muscles that have been lengthened out. We have to force them into a shortened position and force the muscles to work in a shortened position. That is one surefire way to get some strength back and get some normalization of the tissue tension and to try to normalize that imbalanced seesaw that we talked about. And I'm going to show you a video here now of just the most simple exercise that I will start a lot of patients with. Let's take a look. So you can see here, I am lying face down on the floor. So you can do it just about anywhere, no excuses. And what I'm going to do, I've got my forehead resting on my forearm with one arm, and the other arm that's on the floor, I'm going to train that side. And what you're seeing me doing right here is I am taking my shoulder blade and I am forcing it, pinching it as close to my spine as I possibly can. And it's really it requires a concerted effort to do this, and it also requires you to be mindful about it. So take your shoulder blade and place it as close as you can to your spine and hold it. Keep it there for, if you can only keep it there for a second, that's fine, but like build it up. 3 seconds, 5 seconds, and then do multiple sets of that. 2 sets of 10, 3 sets of 10 if you can handle it. I have found that I have had many a gym bro come into my clinic who look super strong and super hypertrophied in a lot of their muscles in their body. And when we pop them on their stomach and I will physically take their shoulder blade and cram it towards their spine and hold it there and let go. And guess what? Lo and behold, a lot of these dudes cannot even hold their shoulder blade in a shortened position at all. And I will often get the comment from people that, my God, this is hard to do. 2 or 3 sets of 10 of that, you would think would be a breeze for somebody who does like an intense workout. But this is deceptively hard because those muscles are always in a lengthened position and we are forcibly putting them in a shortened position. And by the way, this length adaptive weakness problem that we talked about today, it doesn't just happen in the shoulder blades. It happens in other areas of the body. And this can be a discussion for other YouTube episodes. But just to give you another quick and dirty example here, for females, I will see a lot of the time some of the hip muscles getting stretched out in a lengthened position, accommodatively weakened and lengthened, just from them sleeping on their sides. Now, a lot of females have a larger pelvis or a wider pelvis than do males. And this kind of feeds into this problem. So if we take a look at this photo here, this woman is lying on her side and her top leg is kind of draped forward in front of her while she sleeps. Now, if you think about it, those hip muscles right up here, where I'm pointing this little arrow to, they're being placed constantly on a stretch while they sleep. So if you spend 8 hours of your night or a third of your life in this position, guess what? Form follows function, people. Those muscles are going to be weak and they're going to be long. And what the same idea applies, we're going to have to train these muscles in a shortened position. If you have any other questions or comments, or if you want to see length adaptive weakness talked about with the hip, talked about with the pelvis, give me a holler, drop a comment. Thanks for watching The Angry Physio. Subscribe, rate, review, hit the little bell, all that fun stuff. Thanks for watching.